Hi, I'm Roya and I'm Fancy as Fork. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about community supported agriculture, a little bit about using your farm box, and a little bit about meal planning. My channel is here as a resource to you as you're looking to plan meals for yourself or for your family, ways to use produce and lots of vegetables in your life, and really to just not give a fuck when you're cooking and have a little bit of fun with it. So today we're going to look at what I got in my farm box this week from Rusty Hinges Ranch, and you're gonna kind of walk through with me as I plan my meal plan for the week based on the produce and the equipment that I received in my box. My son is here to help me. One of the things that's really important when you get a farm box is that you take a few minutes to prep. So we're gonna prep those ingredients today. Usually we attack it as a team, but you can certainly do it by yourself. So I'll walk you through the ingredients now, and then we will show you a little bit about how we prep and how we think about our food for the week. The first thing I do when I get my farm box is I lay everything out on the counter so I can really see what I'm working with. This week I have a bunch of beautiful corn, 2 big heads of purple ruffly lettuce, a loaf of delicious artisanal bread from Della Fattoria, a dozen eggs, some fancy hard cheese, some butter, and some raspberry kefir cheese. This is delicious in a dessert, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but you can also smear it on a bagel. I've got some tomatoes here, some peaches that are ready to rock and roll. They're perfectly ready to eat now. An onion, wild rice, a few cucumbers, another head of lettuce, some beets, some purple basil, and what I think is probably mint. That's actually another kind of basil, but equally delicious. So first I get to lay it all out and look at what I'm working with. And now we'll talk a little bit about how we prep our ingredients so they're ready throughout the week. So this is my best boy, Reese.
Hi.
He is 11, and luckily for him, he's spent a lot of his life cleaning vegetables and rinsing lettuce for me. So the first thing that we're gonna do today is we are going to core and rinse all of this lettuce. We've got 1, 2, 3 heads of lettuce that we need to get prepared. So he is going to fill the sink with cold water and a splash of vinegar. You'll hear me use the term one Mississippi quite a bit when I cook and when I am helping other people cook. That's because I just generally, when I'm pouring something in, I go 1 Mississippi, and that's about a tablespoon. And there's nothing I hate more than, there's nothing my husband hates more than a shit ton of dirty dishes. So we are going to do a 1 Mississippi so that we're not dirtying a measuring spoon. He is going to fill up the water. I am going to chop up this lettuce just a little, and I will change camera angles so that you can see what I'm doing. So we've got the sink filled up about halfway, and I told you it was a 1 Mississippi of vinegar. We actually ended up using like a 3 Mississippi of vinegar. We just used this white Medina vinegar from Trader Joe's because that's what I happen to have in my vinegar corner, which I will show you a little bit later. But you could use white vinegar, red wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar. It's really just to kind of help loosen dirt and rinse your vegetables. So I'm gonna just cut the bottom off of this lettuce. This is farm grown lettuce, so there's like creepy dirt on it. Generally I'll take maybe the first couple of pieces off of the outside and compost those, just because they tend to be particularly creepy when you're dealing with farm fresh lettuce, but I try and save as much as I can. And then I'm just gonna take this and kind of separate it, and I wanna bring it, separate it from the core. It's just gonna hang out in there. Swish it around a little bit. We'll throw the core in the compost, and then we're going to repeat with the other lettuces that are in the box. So one thing that I love about my Rusty Hinges Ranch box is that I get beautiful herbs, and they always include some flowers in with my herbs. So what I'm gonna do today, and something that I think is really kind of a fun piece of this, is I am going to put my herbs just in a little bit of water, and they're just gonna sit, except that one looks a little funky. I'll make it work. So these will just sit up on my kitchen counter for the week so that I remember that I'm supposed to be using them. And I've got basil. It looks like 2 different kinds of basil, a little bit of a flower there, and they'll just be a nice reminder, and they'll make my house smell amazing. Next, I want to talk to you a little bit about food prep. There's something very serious that we need to discuss, and that serious thing is beets. Not everyone likes beets, and that's fine. But it's very important that you understand that anybody can make them delicious. You don't hate beets in all forms. That's just not even a real fucking thing. You might not like them pickled, or you might not like them roasted, but maybe you'd like them shredded raw in a salad. So I highly recommend that if you get beets in your box, you just give it a shot. The other really important thing to understand about beets is that beet greens are phenomenal. I heart beet greens. So anytime I get beets and they don't have the greens on them, or sometimes I've been at the farmer's market and the farmer has like offered to cut off my beet greens, I feel like that's stealing. I just twist off really quickly. You could use a pair of scissors or garden shears, but I kind of love like the prep part of the box where you're just like getting in there and getting after it. I'm gonna throw these beets to soak in with my lettuce, and I'm gonna throw my beet greens in to soak with my lettuce as well, because I use beet greens like chard. I often mix them with chard, where I will rinse these and then I will like strip the green part off of this. I trim the ends and then I chop this up really small. I love beet greens with a steak. Talk about getting your daily dose of iron. It's just phenomenal. And we'll talk a little bit more about these in a minute. So I'm just gonna throw all that in to its fancy little veggie bath. And while that's working, we are gonna chat a little bit about the rest of our ingredients. We have a super classic early summer box. Beautiful early season tomatoes, peaches that are ready to rock and roll, cucumbers that are perfect little, I mean, they're clearly farm cucumbers. You're gonna, oh, you know what, we can wash these too while we're at it. Just throw those in the bath. An onion, this corn. So when I see this, the very first couple boxes I get in the summer, I'm all about just like a super simple tomato salad. So tomatoes, cucumbers, maybe a little fresh peach in there. If you guys are not putting fresh fruit in your salads, you're completely missing the point. Fresh fruit with a little vinaigrette is phenomenal. So I'll definitely be making a salad with my tomatoes and my fruit. And salad does not have to mean lettuce. Salad can also only mean lettuce. It's really up to you. I'm laughing because my son is looking at me, and I do this classic thing where I'll make something where there's no vegetables, and then I just use my dressing that I have keep on my counter all the time and throw a bunch of lettuce in it, and I'm like, okay, here's a salad. And that's the only ingredient. But that's an $8 salad at a restaurant, so do not discount it. So we're gonna do a tomato and peach salad this week. We are going to definitely be grilling some corn this week. My family will only probably eat half of an ear of corn at a time, so I've got plenty. We also are doing a socially distanced crab and shrimp boil tomorrow with the neighbors. So I'll probably use some corn in for that. Anytime you have a bounty of vegetables that show up, share them. That's kind of what this whole thing is about. Even though we're in this weird COVID time period, there's still an opportunity to show your love and show your appreciation of people through food, even if that means that you are eating very far apart. You know, I'm not really going to restaurants yet, but I am spending a little bit of time outside trying to still maintain that level of connection. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but we've talked about the tomato and peach salad. We've talked about grilled corn. Let's talk about lettuce. In my box this week, I got 2 different kinds of lettuce. I have this big red leafy lettuce, and I have this little buttery romaine kind of lettuce. I think this is more butter lettuce. It's some kind of green lettuce. In my family, when we have a shit ton of lettuce, we make lettuce wraps. Sometimes those are Mexican-inspired flavors, and sometimes those are Asian-inspired flavors. I am obsessed with Asian flavors. So I will almost always, if I'm the person planning the meals, choose an Asian-inspired palette for like 3 meals in a week. Everybody else in my family is learning to love it, but I will do like Korean flavors and add kimchi, Thai flavors, and keep it really light with lots of basil. Thai and Vietnamese food tend to use a lot of herbs, and especially this time of year, herbs are particularly bountiful and plentiful, so I'll likely do that. So I have some ground pork in my freezer. I also have, I guess I should talk a little bit about that. I have a meat share that I get every 2 weeks from Victorian Farmstead, which is located in Sebastopol. And so we try and plan our meals around the meat that we get in that 2-week time period. I also purchased half of a pig from my buddy Eddie Zettner about 6 months ago, and we still have a ton of pork from that pig. So we do incorporate quite a bit of pork in our diet, and then some pasture-raised meats as well. I'm really trying to not buy grocery store meat, if at all possible, during the week. I still do eat some sausage, and you know, a girl's got to have a chicken breast here and there, but I find the quality of the pasture-raised meats, if you can find it in your budget, supporting local and supporting animals that are treated humanely is really what's best for me. So a little later this week, I will show you how to make an Asian-inspired ground pork lettuce wrap situation. I would use this little cup because it's prettier, but usually what happens is that we eat all of these and then I go back in the fridge and I get some of these because we still have lettuce wrap stuff to eat. My teenage daughter just came in and explained to me that I had my phone turned the wrong way for a YouTube video. That's some first-timer problems right there. I've decided I'd prefer to do at least some of it correctly, so at this point in the video, you might notice that things look a little bit different. No laughing. I don't want to keep you for too long. I do want to talk a little bit about the rest of my meal plan for the week. So tonight, in my family, we're going to do bruschetta, which is tomato and basil and olive oil and salt and pepper. We will be pouring that bruschetta sauce on top of some cauliflower gnocchi that we got at Trader Joe's that we like to fry up in a pan. And you will see us do that at the end of this video. So that's tonight's dinner. Tomorrow night we're doing a seafood boil, so that'll be corn. I do have some potatoes that I bought at the store that I'll be using as well. And then we're getting seafood from our local seafood monger, shrimp and crab that we'll be adding to the pot with some garlic bread and a side salad. That's our dinner tomorrow night. I'm gonna leverage my love of beet greens a little bit later this week and make a ribeye steak that I got from Victorian Farmstead, along with sauteed beet greens with garlic. And I will serve that with a side salad that includes lettuce and peaches with like a balsamic vinaigrette and probably some herbs. So that's quite a lot of days. On the remaining days, I have this beautiful loaf of bread. I am going to slice this up and turn it into some type of a garlic bread situation that I'll probably serve with some pasta from my box last week and some homemade spaghetti sauce. And then I will make lettuce wrap, ground pork, Asian style tacos. My coworker's wife brought me homemade kimchi, a scallion kimchi and a classic Napa cabbage kimchi. I cannot wait to put that on my tacos. So they'll probably be like a Korean bulgogi inspired pork taco with kimchi on top, served in little lettuce cups. I also have here a few different kinds of cheeses from St. George Cheese, a Picante Original and Patrao. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these yet. I'll probably just eat them because that sounds like something that I would do. And then I also have this kefir cheese. This is a raspberry kefir. It's super sweet. It's not super sweet. It's like just lightly sweet and delicious. We'll probably tonight, just because we can't wait, slice up some of these peaches, toss them in a little lemon juice with a little sugar to macerate them, plop some of this kefir cheese on top. It's almost like a lightly sweet mascarpone or cream cheese, and eat it for dessert with maybe whipped cream if we have whipped cream. That's that, guys. I've also got an onion. I'm always using an onion. I might pickle it, which I will probably show you later in the week. And I hope that you have enjoyed seeing how I'm gonna use my box. Oh, I forgot about the wild rice. They gave me a recipe for herbed wild rice in my box. Always make the recipes that come with your farm box. Why would you not? It's stupid to not use the recipe that they give you, especially if you don't know what to do with an ingredient. I could do a whole bunch of stuff with wild rice, but this is an herbed wild rice, which is one of the things I'd probably look at doing anyway. So I'll probably pair that with my steak and my beet greens. In fact, I may just toss the beet greens in the wild rice and add the herbs and make my own twist on it. So that is all for today. I'm looking forward to unpacking my vegetable box with you in future weeks, and following this, I'll just show you a little bit about how I'm gonna make my bruschetta tonight. One other gift that I just love to give to myself today is to roast these beets so that I can use them throughout the week however I want without thinking about it too much. So I'm gonna add a little bit, 1 Mississippi of olive oil on top of those. And then I have like this little Tupperware that I keep a mixture of salt and pepper in. That's kind of tricky to undo with one hand, but we're gonna do it. And I use my teeth, don't tell anybody. And I'm going to sprinkle some salt and pepper on. I'm roasting these with the skins on, and so they may, like the salt and pepper may kind of be a moot point, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And then the other thing I'm gonna do is just add like a couple little handfuls of water to help with the steaming process. And then I'm gonna wrap it up in a tight little package and put it in a 400-degree oven for about an hour, and they will steam and be ready to just stick in my fridge to use whenever I want. All right, I'm gonna make a quick bruschetta style situation. For some of you who've seen me cook before, you know I am like not super concerned with doing things the way that you might do it in culinary school. I think that culinary school certainly has a purpose. I'm feeding my family, and so I may or may not cut things in perfect shapes. I'm just gonna, so I'm just dicing this tomato into about bite-sized pieces. This tomato is gonna go into a cauliflower gnocchi dish, so the bruschetta essentially is gonna become the sauce. And when it becomes the sauce, it's gonna get slightly, you know, like mushed together anyway, so I'm not super duper worried here. But I'm adding that tomato. I'm then gonna take some of this purple basil because it came in my farm box, I will say that sometimes you'll probably see me cook with things that are not in my farm box. There's the basil. I'm going to give it a rinse. Because I do have a pretty substantial vegetable garden also. But we go through a lot of veggies, and I like to cook for people. I'm just gonna run my knife through this pile of basil. I just find this purple basil to be so fucking pretty. I'm gonna sprinkle this on top of the tomatoes. It looks pretty nice. And then I'm gonna smash, oh, there's a little extra basil there. I'm gonna smash a couple of cloves of garlic and chop them up. So as I was saying, you're not gonna learn how to do things in the most beautiful way. Everything I do is pretty rustic, which actually, I guess I should say, I find that rustic food is the most delicious food. There's something about it that really speaks to my soul. And it's one of the things that inspires me to cook is that I don't have to be perfect. I can just be me in the kitchen. And, you know, I'm pretty fucking great if I do say so myself. So here's the garlic. It's roughly chopped. Like some of it's kind of big. Actually, I'm going to chop it up a little bit more. Two big pieces of garlic could make for like a slightly unpleasant situation. But again, generally if I was making bruschetta on like bread, I would not chop the garlic. I would just rub a clove of garlic on the bread. But because we're gonna be making a cauliflower gnocchi, it's not really gonna have that opportunity. So now I've got my garlic, my basil, my tomatoes. I'm gonna go 1 Mississippi around with my olive oil. Always try and buy like a fairly decent olive oil. This is a California olive oil. It does have a harvest date on it. You want that harvest date to be, I think, within like 18 months, maybe 2 years of purchase. And then this is just a red wine vinegar. This is a Trader Joe's version. I would love to spend a lot of money on quality vinegar. I have a really hard time tracking it down, to be honest. But Trader Joe's does a fine job for this purpose. So this is essentially, I just created a salad dressing. Dee, would you grab me the salt and pepper, please?
Yes.
I'm also gonna add salt and pepper to this. Fresh ground salt and pepper. Don't be afraid of salt. If you're afraid of salt, your food will taste like shit. I know some people have to be on low sodium diets, and probably not the YouTube channel for you. But you could add less salt. It would just not be as good. So then I'm gonna toss this around a little bit. I've got big chunks of tomato. I've got big, beautiful ribbons of basil. It all looks kind of weird. I have terrible lighting in my kitchen, but it's gonna taste delicious. Oh my God, that tastes like summer. I'm gonna set this aside and I'm gonna cook the cauliflower gnocchi, which I will show you how to do. It's not super hard, it's just from Trader Joe's and frozen, but it's delicious. And it's a great fast meal. Like for tonight, for example, we're cooking on camera. Oh, that's Darian. We're cooking on camera, so we don't have a ton of time to like put together a fancy meal, but cauliflower gnocchi will get it done. Okay. So welcome to the cooking part. We're gonna pan down to my pan. This is a shitty pan that I got at TJ Maxx. It's perfect for cauliflower gnocchi. I'm gonna go 1 Mississippi 2 here. I do wanna coat the pan in olive oil because I'm gonna be cooking the gnocchi and I want them to get nice and brown. Another thing, using too little salt is a mistake and using too little oil is a mistake. I have been on kind of a quiet little weight loss journey for a while, and I've still eaten things that had oil in them. I'm more cautious about what I eat. These cauliflower gnocchi, I'm gonna be honest, they're a little freezer burned. So I'm gonna be breaking them apart because they apparently haven't been touched in a while, but I'm still gonna eat them because that's where we're at in our life today. The pan is getting hot. And so once I break them apart, oh, these look just rough. I'm gonna throw them in ice and all. Separate them. I'm gonna add the next batch, which I think will be less freezer burned. I think the ones that are freezer burned were in the door of my refrigerator, of my freezer, which is not good. Yeah, these are a little bit better. Ideally, you want them to be a little bit far apart so that they brown easier. So I just did that like incredibly wrong, but I think they'll still be fine. So we're gonna let these hang out here in medium high and get brown, and then I'll toss them around and then add my bruschetta sauce with corn. Oh, the corn was delicious. We both snuck a piece. We all three of us snuck a piece. Then I'll add my bruschetta sauce. I'll let it cook around for another minute, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so again, story of my life. Veggies that I totally forgot to take out of the sink. Use a dish towel. Please don't use paper towels for this. Save a tree. These you can wash your dish towel later. It might be a little bit more laundry, but it's worth it. Dish towels are also just so much more absorbent. I mean, there's a shit ton of water in here. So I did like swish the lettuce around. If you have just a regular amount of lettuce, not some metric shit ton like I have, you could just do this in a salad spinner. I have a salad spinner that I like a lot that I use when I have a normal amount of lettuce, but this is not a normal amount of lettuce. So what I'm gonna do is hopefully show you. So I kind of lay my lettuce out and then fold and wrap it up just like this. And kind of squeeze it out to try and get all the water out. And I do this in batches because not all of my lettuce is gonna fit nicely on my towel the first time. Then I just kind of check for any crazy amount of dirt. I mean, let's be honest, this is farm fresh. There's gonna be some fucking dirt on your lettuce, but you just kind of have to get over it. There have definitely been like big ass snails and slugs in my lettuce. So now I'm gonna use, you could use a paper towel here. I'm gonna use a little reusable absorbent cloth that I've washed and dried. I put that in a Ziploc bag. I generally just reuse my Ziploc bags week over week for my greens. And I put my greens in here. You can fill it pretty full. And then I'll put another batch in, but you just like press the excess air out. And I jam pack them. And then seal it up. And this is, oh, well, actually seal it up. Don't fake seal it up. And then this I just throw in my refrigerator and I use it throughout the week. So I totally forgot to show you how I put it together. I just finished up the cauliflower gnocchi. They're right here. And put the stuff on top of it. Put the little bruschetta corn succotash concoction on top and drizzled it with more Trader Joe's vinegar. It's a balsamic glaze that I really like. This is the glaze. And now we eat. If you don't want to use frostbitten, freezer-burned cauliflower gnocchi from your house, you could always just put it on some toasted bread or on some regular pasta. It's a delicious, super fast meal, and I hope you have a great night.